Hi, I'm Mark. Welcome back to Foothill Paint Fabrication. Well, that GTO is not a barn find. I was a little messing with you guys a little bit. I've owned that car since I was 19 years old. So, I find it interesting. If you watch YouTube enough, there seems to be an unlimited supply of rare and valuable cars being found in barns all over the place. So I was just having some fun. I've owned the car, like I said, since I was 19. My first car was a GTO my dad bought me. I fixed it up the best I could, and with a lot of help from friends. And I drove that for a while, and then I bought this car, like I said, when I was 19. Now, my first car was not a true GTO. It was a clone, but it was still a fun car, and I loved driving it, and I'm going to love driving this one when we're done. So today's video, we're just going to get started on the Resto-mod. It's going to be a frame off, full tear down, everything. So we're just going to kind of go through. We're going to take a tour of the car, show its pitiful state. I haven't driven the car since 1995, and it's really sad that it sat so long, and just life happened, and so here we are. So today we're going to get started on it. So we're going to do a tour of the car, kind of a before look at it, and then obviously when we're done, whenever that is, we're going to do an after tour of it to see, just how much nicer it's looking, hopefully, than it does right now. It won't take much to make it look better than it does right now, trust me. So we're going to get out there, we're going to kind of take a tour. I'm going to get after it with some bug spray to kill all the critters up underneath there, and then pressure wash the crap out of it, just so I can work on it, start tearing it apart. But before we get to that, here's a little video of me and my son dragging it up to the shop. So we just kind of hooked the tractor onto it and started dragging it. No brakes, so my son's inside holding his foot all the way down on the clutch and having it first gear, and so when it kind of rolled out of control, he just had to let off the clutch and let it lock up and drag it a little bit. So here it is on the road for the first time since 1995. Had to kind of clean a little porthole in the windshield so he could see, but we got it up to the shop all in one piece with no calamity. Okay, here she is. It's a pretty sound car, all in all. I don't think we're going to have a lot of rust repair, but we won't know till we get into it. Now, I am going to have this car stripped, so we're going to be taking it apart, and I'm going to be hauling it to Oregon to have it dipped. So this thing's going to be stripped inside and out, which is really what I want. I want this thing perfect all over, not just on the exterior. So all the nooks and crannies are going to be completely cleaned, resealed, and then resealed with some probably epoxy primer to make sure that it's coated inside and out really well. So, but you guys can see some of my old repairs here. We got failing paint and body filler underneath there. Got some body filler popping off right there, and rust underneath. Look how thick that body filler is. I was just a young man when I was doing this, just learning. There's actually two paint jobs underneath here. There's gold base coat with candy. 3 colors of candy I sprayed on this. I was kind of using this as a learning tool, and it was lacquer. That's how long ago. So I had orange or yellow on the front, orange, and then red. It's kind of, I'll look for a picture. I'll include a picture if I can find it. I didn't take a lot of pictures of all my work back then, but and then I got sick of that fairly quickly, and then I sprayed this red over the top of it. Not very thick. It's worn through in a lot of spots, but I was young, just experimenting. But the car is really sound. It was a fun car. It's a big car. It's GMA body. It's interesting that 65 Malibu, it's a GMA body too, but this thing is a third longer than it is. So it's a good looking car. I love it. I love the style. I love that kind of Coke bottle shape, right down those quarter panels when it's sitting low like that. I think it looks great. But it's going to be nice to get this thing torn apart and get to work on it. So let's pop the hood and take a look underneath there. It's got a Pontiac 400 in it right now with a Muncie 4-speed. I will be reusing the engine, and it would be kind of fun to get the old engine fired up again, and hey, what's that beer bottle doing there? I wonder how that got there. So it'd be fun to, you know, fire up the old Pontiac and get it running, but I'd be afraid of hurting it because I'll be reusing the crank. I don't know if, probably the rods. I will not reuse the pistons, even though they probably don't have that many hours on them. If I remember correctly, they're 11 to 1s. And back then you could run 11 to 1s on pump gas, and today you can't. Pump gas is just not the same. This thing would just knock and ping like crazy if I tried to run it. So we're going to drop the compression a little bit. We're going to be putting fuel injection. I think there's a Carter AFB underneath that air cleaner right there. But back in the day, I tried to make this as nice as I could. Didn't have a lot of money, had a lot of time. I scavenged power brakes off a Catalina. My friend was, you know, taken to the crusher. So I took the spindles and the disc brakes off the front of that, and that's what's on here right now. Of course, we're going to change all that out, but and then I put power brakes on it. So I used to street race this car, and it wouldn't stop. It had four-wheel drum brakes, and it had high performance aluminum drum brakes on the front. And it was supposed to be better, but I'll tell you what, guys, those aluminum drums with a steel liner, the harder you pushed on the brakes, the bigger the drum got, so you really didn't stop. So it was kind of spooky at the end of a run, but so I put disc brakes on it, and it stopped a lot better. It was a lot safer. But that's it right there. You know, I put HEI on it, and you know, put this fan shroud is off a 677 Chevelle, I believe, because this thing, it ran hot. I mean, it really ran hot, and it wouldn't start when it was hot because of compression. And you know, it was not a reliable car. You had to sit and push start it, or just wait, go inside and get a ice cream or something, wait till it cooled off, and then you could start it again. So let's keep going. Let's go back to the back. Oh, these hinges are shot too. Wow. Let's go to the back and look at the trunk, and then we'll look at the inside. Okay, let's see if this lock is gonna work. Ooh, look at that, huh? That's something that works. Okay, so you can see where some debris and stuff is gathered up in here, so I'm a little afraid about some rust there. It doesn't look too bad on the edges of the deck lid here, but it's not bad. Not bad at all, but like I said, once they dip this thing, we'll find out for sure. So the trunk, it's pretty clean. You can see I have hoses right there. Those are the drains for the windows, rear window. These things were historic, just like the Chevelles, for you know, really rusting out down there because water doesn't drain away. But it's not in bad shape. See where the taillights mount. That's all pretty nice. I think this is going to be, it's going to be really fun to get this back from the dipper and the paint stripper guy, and just see what it looks like. You can see even all the seam sealers, they're all cracked and destroyed anyways. So that would have had to all be redone anyways. So that's part of our job, to make sure the guy that dips his car can do a really good job. We're going to try to dig as much of that stuff out as we can. By we, I mean me. So, but this looks pretty good. Actually, you see right there, I just noticed I didn't paint the hinges. That's the candy red that it was painted right there. All right, let's take a look at the inside. You can see where the paint faded away right here, or wore off when the tarp's sitting on it. Let's look inside. Now you can see here the door lines, the body lines aren't too bad. The other side's not so good. But so I think we're going to be a lot better off on this car than some of the other ones I've done. Now this car is a 1967 GTO sedan. They made 3 models of GTOs in 1967. They made the convertible, the coupe, and the coupe does not have a door frame right here. The sedans had door frames. They're all GTOs, and I have no idea, maybe somebody can chime in and tell me why they made a coupe and a sedan the same year. I just don't know. But so this one is a sedan. It's more rare, but really I'd rather have the coupe. But you know, I got door frames. So here it is. It's my embarrassing look. You know, the window's been down because it fell off the track, and eucalyptus leaves are in here. I probably got some critters running around in here, probably a mouse or two. So it's kind of sad. I don't know if that's going to come up. There's the candy. I brought the candy all the way inside to the inside, you know, painted on the interior. And this, see that lacquer check right there? It was all lacquer, and it just, the sun baked right through it. You know how candy will do. So the interior is going to be totally gutted. We're not going to reuse any of this upholstery. It's going to be all custom. I'm going to be doing upholstery for the first time in my life. You know, you guys see me do a little bit of upholstery, but this is actually me sewing and, you know, designing stuff and everything else. So it's it may be a calamity of errors, but I'll keep at it until I get it right. So it's pretty rough in here, pretty rough. I don't know where the glove box cover is. I'm going to have to find that. So the seats are just, you know, disgusting, falling apart. This one's got a seat cover pulled over it, you know, just one you buy at the auto parts store. But yeah, she's a little buggy and she's a little dirty. So the dash is just cracked and destroyed. But it's all there. And the door shuts really good. So that's a plus too, right? Okay, that's that. So what are we going to do with this car? Let's go talk about it. Okay, what are the plans for my dream car, my dream build? So I'm going to run the Pontiac 400 that's in it. I'm going to run in Edelbrock fuel injection, aluminum heads. Like I mentioned, we're going to have to put some new pistons in it, maybe new connecting rods, roller cam, and then you know, I'm hoping just to make 400 horsepower, 1 horsepower for every cubic inch. That's it. I don't need a super screaming car. I just want this to be reliable and enjoyable to drive. I'm not trying to, you know, drag race the car or anything. So we're going to try to, you know, keep it fairly tame so it's nice and reliable, but it sounds good and it's got tons of torque like these engines are known for. Transmission, I love the Muncie 4-speed. Driving John 65 Malibu really brought back a lot of memories, but it brought back a lot of memories about running out of gears. Be driving my car, and I'd always try to shift out of fourth because I thought I had one more gear left, because you know these Pontiac engines, they do not like to be wound up very tight. So you know, $5 grand and you're really pushing the limits on those things. So I'm going to switch to a 5-speed. I think I'm going to go to a Tremec you know, TKX. I wanted to run the gear vendors overdrive on the Muncie 4-speed, but it's cost prohibitive. It's actually going to probably cost me more to run the overdrive, just getting that and getting it all hooked up, than actually getting a Tremec transmission. So I'm going to go with that. And if I'm not happy with it, I can always pull it out and put the Muncie in and put overdrive on it. But for now, I think we're going to run the 5-speed. So the rear end, I shortened that rear end. It's a GM 12 bolt. I shortened that rear end 3 1/4 inches off each side. I don't know how old I was. I was pretty young, 18, 19 years old, 20, and I don't know how old I was. I was pretty young. So I shortened that rear end up so I could run really fat, deep rims on the car, make it look cool, right? So we're gonna reuse that housing, probably get some limited slip in it, and you know, disc brakes all the way around. New suspension in the rear, so it handles really well. These cars did not handle very well. They went straight line really good. They didn't stop so good, but they did not turn corners very well, that's for sure. So we're gonna get new suspension in the front, new suspension in the back, and try to make this thing maybe not handle like a modern car, but get as close as possible. Now, the body, like I mentioned, it's coming off. It's gonna be a full, you know, stripped down to bare steel, getting it dipped, and then we're gonna have to repair, you know, whatever we find. And that's going to be a mystery until I show up to pick it up. I won't know what condition it's in, but we got to strip the car all the way down to bare steel, get everything off of it. Everything has to be off before it can go to the have it dipped, and that's going to be a project in itself. It's going to get all new wiring, going to get air conditioning, get new gauges, new everything, and new upholstery. So the seats, I'm not going to reuse the seats that are in it. There were bucket seats, but there ain't much bucket about them back in 1967. So I actually have seats out of a 2005 Pontiac GTO. Interestingly enough, they came out of a GTO. And they're really comfortable. I think they're 5-way electric adjustable. So we're going to reuse those. We're actually going to do some test fitting on those before we really tear the car apart to make sure they're going to fit right and everything's going to be good. I'm going to reupholster those. I'm going to do all the upholstery like I mentioned earlier, and that's going to be an adventure in itself. But so the interior is going to be completely redone, completely custom, probably a console. The seats in the rear, I'm going to turn them into like more of a sports car where there's kind of just two buckets back there, not real buckets, but a bench seat with bucket cutouts. And then, you know, probably modern lighting, a lot of modern features that, you know, we're going to figure out as we go. So, and then the rims and tires, probably run 17-inch, maybe 18-inch. We're going to figure that out as we go too. So that's the basic plan for the car. Power windows, of course, power locks. You know, I'm going to throw everything at this thing. I've got a budget, you know, some money set aside, and hopefully it's going to be enough. Otherwise, we're going to have to dip in somewhere else to get enough money to buy all the cool stuff for this car. But basically, that's it in a nutshell. You know, I'm going to have to get a new hood. That hood was off my other GTO, and actually that hood was used for a tilt front end on the other car. It's got some holes drilled down the side where I bolted it all together. So I'll probably get a repop, and then we're going to make a custom hood scoop. And my plan is to have this ram air so it will actually breathe through the hood scoop. So that's going to be kind of fun to do too. So stay tuned, guys. This is going to be fun. I'm planning on having fun building this car. I may not be doing a lot of tutorials like I did on the 1950 Chevy truck, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and we're just going to kind of go through this thing and build it together. So any ideas you guys have, I'd love to hear them. You got some tips on anything? Let me know. I'd love to hear them. So that's it for this one. Thanks for joining me here at Foothill Paint and Fabrication. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Mash that bell and drop me a comment. We'll see you soon.